Morning everybody, welcome to our Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board meeting, Friday the 16th of May 2025. Welcome to everybody that's here in the public gallery and to those of us that are online. We'll start with karakia. Me inoi tātou, hau hihiri, hau rāranga, hau te whakairo, hau te tangata, hau o te aroha, te pau e here nei i a tātou, mauri ora ki a tātou, hau mi e, hui e, tai e. Kia ora everybody, kia ora anō. Just a special welcome, no mai hoki mai ki a koe, Mālema. Hi Dolly, nice to have you here as our meeting administrator again. And just a thank you to Amber Alderton Wihongi, who was our meeting administrator for the past couple of meetings. Amber has moved on to another role within FNDC, so just thanks to Amber. A couple of other things for today, a celebration today. Our Whai Towns is Hurito today. Hari Hurito kia koe. Whai Towns. Couple of local celebrations recently, the local markete, the Battle of Te Kahika that happened out at the lake, hosted by Kaikohe College and attended by lots of people last weekend. Really nice to see that space of markete being looked out for and celebrating that momentous day, the Battle of Te Kahika. For that time. Thank you to those of our community board and councillors that were able to attend that celebration last weekend. Pink Shirt Day today, if you haven't noticed, a few of us are looking a bit pink today, and it's a call for us all to just kia tau and be kind to one another. And really nice to see around our town this morning lots of pink happening, so let's hope it works. I just want to move to formally acknowledge condolences to the McGarry whānau for their recent loss of the legend cowboy Chris McGarry, who spent his last years in Umawera. Chris hosted lots of community cowboy events for all ages to participate in. He was a local legend, local hero, local champion. So giddy up cowboy, right on, Chris McGarry. Our condolences to the whānau and the hapori of Umawera. With that being said, we'll start our meeting today. We have Councillor Vusic online and we have member Edmonds online this morning with us, and all other members are in the whare. Do we have any apologies or conflicts of interest? Is it clear? None. Okay, moving on to public forum. And we have today to speak to us Mark Lester. And Mark's here to talk to us about the Horeke Playground and Courts, as well as Mr. Sean Riley and Linda. Tēnā koutou. Kei a koe, Mark. You can come and join us on a seat here, Mark, if you'd like, or standing there if you'd like, either or. You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
If you finish before that 5 minutes, we may have some questions for you. Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Yeah, I was just coming on behalf of I'm the chairman of the Utukura Mutikiori Horeke District Trust. Board of Trustees, and we've been concerned that there's been a lot of effort put into our surrounding community, but nothing has been done for us in the rate of to improve the playground, maybe some trade sales. There's some dangerous dead trees there, the branches are falling off. And a lot, maybe like some seating, a lot of children use it. But, and there may be a rubbish bin because there's a lot of cyclists coming through there as well. And I mean, it was a big plan for the future, you know, to have a shop or something down there eventually. But that might be actually community driven, or if we get a cooperative get together. But I've got a quote from Robinson Asphalt to resurface the courts in Kaikohe. It's quite a big expense, and do 4 reversible hoops for basketball and netball, retractable tennis court net. One of the courts, the back court is unplayable. We need to put drainage in, so it's quite an expensive job. Relatively, the quote was it's an estimate at this stage. They'll come out the AstroTurf. People have to come out and have a look at the courts, but that may be 180,000. So I was wondering how we might be able to get 100,000 through either Northland Sports, my treasurer in those. She's doing, so we want to try and get all our ducks in a row before we present the project to you people, to you guys. And they'll retighten the fence, tie it all up, and have all the markings for that's all, and it needs drainage because there's water getting underneath the courts. So, and there has been nothing done, I don't think, for the last 50 years on the course. So there's a big team of netball enthusiasts. Had some big tournaments. We just had one a couple of weeks ago. And we've got the Waka Army starting up, so we needed. So, but also the question of maintaining the back of the hall. We've had a lot of weeds, a lot of rubbish gets collected. So, and I know there's a green by nature. They do the memorial out the front, but they haven't been doing the path out the back. So, and I just sort of if there's somebody that I can liaise with about funding to get our courts done in the program. So I just just trying to introduce myself and feeling my way. It's all a bit huge for me. Being the junior, so I was hoping to get one of our other members with us today, so taking a week off. But I mean, that's about all of it. Feeling clear. Nothing else. Yeah. So I have the estimate, but they just need your guidance, really.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. First and foremost, for the work that you're doing and for bringing all of that to our attention. It certainly is a place of significance, and certainly with the bike track now going through here, that's right.
So we need to have a good impression on the visitors,
Yes.
Get that collector spirit to get up and get people really great again.
Sure. So in terms of liaison people, we have Bev here, Melissa Wood and Catherine Truan, who's online, who's our funding advisor. So they'll get your details and they can get in touch with you and share their details with you so you can start those conversations about funding. Just before you sit down, we may have some questions. Member McVeigh.
Yeah, lovely to see you. Well done. This is, communities driving their projects is going to be what makes the difference. That's how it's going to work. Yeah. So there's a couple of things in that I really encourage you or somebody to do RFS, request for service, around the dead trees particularly, and also around the tidy up of the back of the hall. Okay. So that's my suggestion, and to follow up. And you can include me in those emails if you want to. You've got my details.
We should have a big clean up ourselves.
I think follow it up and see what you can get from council, what's in the contracts and under their responsibility. We do have a placemaking fund through the community board, and Catherine can guide you on that. We'll have not that quantity of money, but we encourage communities to apply for a placemaking fund, which might help with some of what you're talking about. Definitely worth pursuing. And if you can get support around your projects and drive it. I know the Hokianga have a plan, a town plan or community plan. So I really encourage to keep following it up. That's what will make the difference.
Any further questions from any members? Councillor Kappa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mark, you talked about something in regards to sport housing that you were looking at putting some together. Was that a specific detail?
Well, there was either, because we were getting bus stops put in there as well for the kids. But there was a collective sum we could get either $20,000 or $100,000. And so we're going for the $100,000 to do the bus stops and resurface new nets. So I wasn't too sure it was Northern Sports, maybe ASB, some of those we're trying to do it collectively. So if we can get the funds together, so it'd be approximately $200,000 to get the bus stops. We've got quotes on doing it. Got permission from council to use, but not in the land.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just sort of trying to feel a way, but and trying to get something positive happen.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. Final question from Member Felia.
I would recommend that you reach out to Louise Thompson Marshall, the Department of Internal Affairs. I can get the details sent to you.
Okay.
She knows exactly the funding that's available to our region.
Oh, yeah, that's what we need to find out.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Awesome. Thank you very much.
So, thanks, Mark, for doing that work in Hokianga. Yeah, small community, small group to draw on, but if you have the right people in the right places, you'll get
Yeah, we've got a lot of people moving in. And they've spent $1 million on the school down there for the Ministry of Education.
Yes.
You've got the asphalt and manholes combined.
Yes.
So, I mean, things are really happening. We've got a bit of a workforce ourselves, but that's another thing I want to pursue, that we can take some of the work off bent here to do it in our own community. So it's huge traction.
And as you're aware, people, the city care, if they're down there mowing or green by nature, they'll be taken over by city care now. But they can only do what's in their contract. So we'll find out what's in the contract and let you know. Because that area that you're referring to may not be in their contract even. So we'll find that out and let you know. But I like the community spirit, not just leaving it to the FNDC to do the mucky, but you guys are prepared to get in and do it as well. So thank you for that. Awesome. Kapai. Next, we have Mr. Riley, and Mr. Riley is going to continue his conversation with us about the landfill, I believe, Mr. Riley, that you talked about last meeting. Give us a bit of hitori. Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Don't mind me sitting down, I hope.
No, you're fine.
Before we start on the landfill, 3 things I'd like you to consider. The acquisition of the 2 acres of ground by Gray Phillips. I think it should come into as a community asset because it's 2 acres, it's available, and we don't have to spend money to buy it because we can offset it against a rate problem. It has the advantage you can put a swimming pool there, a concrete pad for the kids to do their things on their skateboards, a pump track, and add to that something that provides entertainment and exercise for our kids, means that we've got them in town, they don't disappear, and they don't get into mischief. It's an asset I think is well worth pursuing. I'd like to see Kaikohe advanced as a tourism destination from the ships in Paihia. We've got a unique asset in the Pioneer Village. We can build on it, and we've got a wonderful marae just down the road where we can give them a marae experience too. Come back to our dump. Papakura High School was built on a dump. Barry's Point was a dump. Mount Smart Stadium was a dump. Part of the museum, transport technology was once a landfill, and none of them are unsafe to walk on. We've got an area which you can use for walking dogs, and we've got a wonderful site that kids can go fly a kite. We're not using it to the optimum advantage that we could do. A little bit of its history. 50 years ago, it was a bushy willow swamp. When I first came here, I went up there one night because it was never closed. It was open 24 hours. And I wouldn't get out of the car because there was a swarm of rats the size of this room, literally, because nothing really wasn't maintained as it should have been. Come back to closing it. When they wanted to seal the tennis courts, they couldn't, because the water level was that far below the ground. So they dug a drain to drain the water, and the water goes down my creek, and the water went black for days. For a whole week, it was running black water. Brian Thorburn was the mayor at the time, and there was some real consternation about it. Doug Oxenham was Minister of Agriculture representative at the time. We had a long conversation about it, and we came to the agreement in the finish that eventually it would redeem itself and run clear, because not many people know that their old league field was also once a dump. There is value in landfills. The interesting collection of artefacts that came out when they dug that drain through was quite fascinating. I don't know where they've all gone, but believe me, there were some very interesting things coming out of it. The complaints of sickness and came about for people playing in the league field was due to the seagulls collecting on the top, defecating on the bottom. And what they were doing, virtually playing rugby league and bird excrement, that stopped it. I think that in many ways that I should put this all in a logical writing, and I'll give you all a copy. I think it's something that is of value, and what looks like an asset is once a very public utility. The fact that it's got two terraces on the side up, when Peter Poe was an operator, I talked him into creating those two with the view that one day they would be spectators seated. And it's worked. But come back, I think that I should make something of a little bit of a history of it, because it is quite a unique public asset now. And if it comes to that, in 1989, the District Council couldn't afford to establish its own district-wide rubbish tip. We saved this district $6 million. And the big building down there is, in a way, recompense for the ignominy of having a municipal rubbish dump at its heart. Now, you all remember the parable of the Bible, the honey coming from the lion's stomach. Good comes out of something eventually. I would like to see that any misconceptions about that part of our town is well and truly answered. If there's anything else you're not sure about, ask, because nobody knows that area better than I do.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. We've got time for a couple of questions. If any members have any questions for Mr. Riley, just comment, Mr. Riley. That would be really helpful to have your commentary on that area, please. If you're able to get that to Malima.
That would be great, thank you. Any questions? Anyone online? No, hands up. Thank you, Mr. Riley, for your continued looking out for our community.
I must be able to explain things clearly now, as nobody asked me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker for today is Linda from Kaikohe Business Association. Kia ora, Linda.
Kia ora. Next going to stand here.
Morning. Morena.
So I wear many other hats as well, so I'm just acknowledging the reenactment of the Battle of Clear Lake Omakri, a very, very successful event. And I had the privilege of actually meeting with one of the descendants of a great grandson of a man who actually fought for the 50th 8th Battalion Regiment in the Battle of Kaikohe and the other battles around there. And fortunately, his great-granddad wrote a diary, so I'm keen to get some information off him. And it's gathering of that local information that has come. But keep in mind, the reenactment of the Battle of Ruapekapeka will be January next year. And the diary data and that stuff, but that's something to be aware of coming up. Community heart and community involvement. So I acknowledge, Mark, the work that you're doing in your community. There's a couple of major concerns here, and we'll cover the quick ones first. Requests for service. We keep putting them in, and a lot of them are to do with the states of the parks and the roads and what have you. But I heard from Mayor Moko on Tuesday that the city care are coming up to a 1-year mark and they'll be reviewing their performance. So I think a lot of that is due to the first-year contract and maybe underestimating how large our region is when they're looking at trying to take a city care program to a rural department. But one of those, Tiki, there's a few of us that are thinking of getting together and hitting requests for services as a group, so that we then hold each other accountable to doing the follow-up and we try and get a better cover for Kaikohe. It may be something that you consider for other areas as well, but just so it's tracking further. The next concerns involve more or less the overall welfare of our town. So as a business association, you know that on CCTV is a big part to looking at capturing the crime. We'd love to be able to have more funding to be more proactive and not only preventing but actually responding to things that are happening. So that involves being connected with the police. That also ties in with the overall picture of the town, which is the increased presence of the effects of methamphetamine. So the Runanga called together a meeting a couple of weeks ago to try and, one, make a statement that as a hapu iwi, we've had enough. The rollout effects of meth is substantial to our service providers, our communities, our different areas. And the first meeting was more community putting in feedback there, but I think growing that and learning to work together to say, okay, how can we address that? We had the police were present, so we had some feedback from there. And on my way in, which is only a short distance, I was stopped by 2 different police checkpoints, and it was just seatbelt checks. But there is a bigger presence within this Kaikohe area at the moment, trying to, I guess, find out where the sources. But methamphetamine is a New Zealand problem coming in and hitting every region. So looking at that's one way, but how do we break the services around that we need to support the people? The grandmas that are looking after the muckles, because the father's incarcerated, the mother's not capable of looking after the young ones, and she's now left, instead of enjoying her latter years of grandchildren, bringing up kids that the 8-year-old was diagnosed with the capacity of a 4-year-old because of the exposure to meth. So this is an ongoing thing. CCTV, what we're trying to do is collaborate with, and I'm thinking work together, we need another word. So we're looking at pulling not only Far North District Council, but all the areas that have TVs, CCTV coverage, to pull them all together and get to a bit of a stock take and understand what the big picture is. So one of the things where I'd appreciate some help from you, because you cover our region, is we know who the business association leads are, but there are a lot of residents associations and a lot of small groups, such as Mark's group at Hokianga, that maybe could be pulled into that and think as a big picture for Northwood. Where do we need to be more inclusive? I know, I don't know what you've got out at Opanoni and Maipuri. There will be individual businesses with CCTV, but does it need a link into the bigger picture? I don't know what's up broad with Kaikohe. I am aware that in our business association team meetings, we're not capturing all of the business associations in that group, so there's a little bit of work to capture the likes of Kaikohe and some other areas. But that ties into that whole bigger problem. Acknowledging our world champion this week, so Papa Hawaii was the venue for a lot of the kids in the area. I think there was a busload travelled to acknowledge, I can never pronounce his name.
Declan Armstrong.
Yeah, Armstrong. And I think having some others there and starting a trend of how do we acknowledge the good things that happen, the choices that he is a role model. I know a lot of the pages were going, let's have a party. And I'm going to acknowledge his belief systems. Let's have Milo. So I'm very pleased to be able to just attend that event briefly. I know I've shared a lot, but any questions? Or?
No questions, but I think collaboration is key, Linda, and just again, thank you for the work that you do, and similarly to Mark again, for the work that you do in our communities. We do have a report later in our meeting that you're welcome to stay for, that addresses some of the placemaking things that are coming up for our town.
Yep.
Yes, any questions from any board members? Member McVeigh.
Just a comment, I can send you through contacts for the Ratepayers Association out our way, to Ratepayers Association, who might be interested in what you're talking about. And I know there is council CCTV, so there's somebody here who knows where everything is from a council regard.
With Tom and
that's the one.
Be part of that group when we're thinking. Every little bit helps. Thank you.
We do have a workshop later, our board with the Far North District Council person around the CCTV footage as well. So we'll get some information and see what we can do. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dear Linda, our deputations from Public Forum. No speakers. We have one speaker.
I should have been on the list from Kim Hammond.
Kim Hammond?
Kim Hammond, yes.
Oh, my apologies.
That's all right. I'm pleased to be here and pleased to be able to speak for 5 minutes. I'm Joan Duxfield, and I'm representing a small working group who are planning an expo in October of 2026. And because it's getting close to election time, we felt it was a good opportunity to come and speak to you folk to get your support for this expo. We had an expo last year and we were just overwhelmed. We had it in Kaikohe at a venue that wasn't quite big enough, and now we've booked for 2026 the Turner Centre, and what we're looking for, just to go back, I should have really said that the expo is on the day of the International Day for Older People. So the expo is all about the services, the providers, the older people. And it was very successful in 2024. And we're hoping to make it even more successful by getting a bigger venue. Why I'm here is that you folks are talking about your strategic planning and your perhaps annual planning. And I sort of feel that I would like you to consider giving a commitment to what is a big community event, because it'll be called the Mid-North Expo. And we're hoping to be able to bring people in who never have the opportunity or privilege to be able to come to some of the events that are held around our Mid-North district. So in the new year, I'll be coming back to you with funding applications. But now I want you to consider the role of the older people and the number of old people, and somehow make sure that you commit to supporting the events. We want you on the banner. We want the two community boards, because I spoke to the other community board yesterday, or FNDC. We want the community to see that there is a community-related and either sponsored or partnered event. Now I manage Age Concern, and we have quite a little impact going on in Kaikohe at the moment. We're here every Thursday, and yesterday we had stay safe driving workshop here in Kaikohe, and I'm going to try and we're going to try and get partners to partner us for the expo with the same values, i.e. older people. They're involved older people. Last year we had Alzheimer's, and this year we're looking for as many groups that we can that kind of partner with us. It was so successful that we didn't make a loss in any way last year. So 2026 being bigger and being able to offer more at the Turner Centre, I think would be fantastic. There are a lot of older people who don't know of what might be available to them as a service or as a provider. And it's an opportunity to get 50 of those people displaying their services and provisions for people to learn and get better knowledge. Today, that's about all. I'm just wanting to alert you. I'm wanting you to think about it when you're doing your strategic plan. That the community was 26% older people. And how important it is to the district, and perhaps commit to having some support for an event. I have brought some of our newsletters from Age Concern so that you know what we do, and one is the latest one. But I brought some older ones with Dragonfly on because it has our board, our elected board in it, so you can see the faces of who you're dealing with. But the expo is the important thing for me today. But also, I want to spread the fact that we have lots of services to offer to the people of Kaikohe, the older people of Kaikohe. we're finding seats sort of a bit small for our Thursday group who are just exercising. It's fantastic. That every week that they're turning up and do an hour's exercise. So there are other people here in your area that are active and want to manage their lives and want to learn more. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Please just think older people, yes, and we'll see
We're
you.
all getting there, at some point in time.
We're headed.
Thank you, Joanne, for the work that you're doing. We've almost run out of time.
I'm through, have you?
We might have a question from Member McVeigh.
Just wondering if age concern also comes to Hokianga and has involvement with
We're
our
dealing
young
with,
people.
it's in our area, it's part of our regional responsibility with age concern. But we have limited funding and it even looks a little bit like less funding coming in for the next year. And we have to get a little nucleus of people that will work with us in the area so that when we want to run a driving course, they can find 15 people for us. This is a free course. We get under contract with the NZTA, and we targeted most of those people who have to go for their licence again, like when you're 80 or when you're 75, when you're renewing your licence, and just to learn a little bit more about the road rules and so forth. But if you can give me a good name that in the Hokianga that I can visit, and there's not too many organisations that we can look into.
Hokianga. Go to Hokianga.
Right.
So thank you, Joanne. Final question from Councillor Kappa.
Kia ora, Kinki. I was here yesterday, Kirikiri.
Oh, we.
I saw the pamphlet and it showed one of our ex-students from Northern College, Joe, her family name was Joe Tapson.
She's on our board.
She's on our board. But the question I wanted to ask is the duration of this conference expo. Is it 2 days, 3 days, 1 day? Just 1 day.
1 day. And we're looking for sponsorship for a bus or, so we're going out. We're going to have the sponsorship package out. And we'll be asking everybody that, organisations really. Did you enjoy the newsletter? Yes.
Well, thank you, Joanne. As you're aware, we're Kaikohe Hokianga, so those are our constituents, those are the people that we're interested in. So it would be to your advantage, I guess, to share in your application how that can impact our older people in Kaikohe Hokianga.
Absolutely. And you'll see me again when we can apply for that.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the work that you're doing. Okay, I think that completes our public forum and speakers this morning. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda on page 8, confirmation of previous minutes. Okay, the recommendation is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held 16th of April 2025 to be a true and correct record. It will be Member McVeigh who has moved that, and I'll second that. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? No, thank you. Move on to our reports on page 20. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board uplift the Tupu Haere Ki Te Rangi Tautoro Titans Club application that was left to lie at the 16th of April meeting. Part B, to that recommendation, approve the sum of $3,000 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Tupu Haere Ki Te Rangi Tautoro Titans Club for the costs towards running an after-school program for Rangatahi. I will move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Member Belia.
Are there any questions around that recommendation?
I was thinking of increasing that amount of money, actually. They've applied for more than that. So often we have a discussion around the amount. Can I move it blank? Not sure the process because it's already been moved.
Yes. So you are, through the chair, you're welcome to make an alternative suggestion.
Can I make an alternative suggestion that we move blank and have a discussion around that amount?
Yes, definitely. I'll second that. Done. Okay, discussion around that amount of for total of Titans Club.
Yeah, I'd like to have it. Can I talk?
Member Edmonds.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Look, I'd just like to ask a question of Catherine, because I know the reason we put it on hold was I gave Matt some information about other funding providers, and I know that he went off and talked to them because I've spoken to the funding providers themselves, and I believe part of the funding application to the other providers was for the remainder of the money that we hadn't recommended. So, Catherine, do you have any extra information about that? Because what I'd hate to do is put something. Yeah, go.
Okay, so he has been working with another lady named Tanya, and they are working at getting funding for this going forward, but unfortunately none of those applications are going to give them the decision they need for this period. So I think he has been working on things. He has been applying for funding for other projects as well, but this is the only one at the moment that is in time for what he is wanting to do now and what they're trying to do now. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, go.
Thank you. Member McVeigh.
I propose to move the full amount, which is 5,983. My reasoning for that is because my understanding is for ongoing weekly training and support and great activities for the tamariki over the training period, over the sports period for league. And I imagine that there's a huge amount of volunteer hours that are possibly not, often groups come to us and they just naturally volunteer so much and they often undervalue their contribution. So that's my reasoning for that. Not enough to support the tamariki of Kaikohe is positive.
Can I have a question as well, please?
Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I know you did raise a few times with school programs and school funding. So there's two parts to the question from Catherine, given that was left alone on the table, and I think our policy is 50% is to be funded elsewhere, but of course we could actually change that. But so, Catherine, can you just let me know if that was in the period, if that was actually looked at and spoken about? Therefore, that's why the recommendation is, I take it to be 3,000. And the second one was, is there no funding from schools for this sort of function?
Yes. Yeah, the short answer is yes. That's partly why I recommended the lower amount. It was about half of what they were looking at.
That wasn't my question, though. But the question was, in that period, did actually to say that, oh, look, there's all these volunteer hours, I'm sure, is based on supposition. So surely they would have had the time to put together the volunteer hours. That's really the question, to look at, talk to them about that period of time. Was that actually done? So that 5.9, for example, is probably much higher, and therefore the 50% would be higher as well. So that's the question. So was that done?
I'm sorry, I'm not sitting at my desk at the moment. I've had to come away and join this on the telephone, so I don't have all the details right in front of me. I had talked to them about that, and including for ongoing applications that they needed to be recording their volunteer time to do that, but I can't recall off the top of my head if I did that with these ones and asked them to come forward with that information. But I can see that member Edmonds has his hand up for it as well. Okay,
and the second one is there any funding from the schools generally? No. Thank you. That's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Visich. Member Edmonds?
Sorry, I had my mic off. I just wanted to understand what the current situation is here with this motion, because it wasn't clear to me. So the original motion was for the $3,000, and so are we speaking to an amendment to change the $3,000 to $5,900? Is that what we're speaking to?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so if this amendment fails, then we go back to the original motion. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Do you have any other comment?
Just to say that we cry out for people who are willing to take up the program. We have limited amount of no after-school programs over in the Hokianga, and the fact that there's a group that are willing to take these kids and it's training towards a purpose. I just think it's great that they've got a community drive. A group of community people willing to do that. And I know for a fact it wouldn't be unpaid. Because most of the funds are through a ministry grant, but schools don't fund after school programs.
Do we have any further discussion? I think that's summary comment. Summary comment from Mika McVeigh.
Yes, I do understand its supposition around the volunteer hours, but I have been involved in a lot of volunteer groups and reasonable understanding of what's involved. And I guess this board has been very supportive of one-off events for tamariki and so on, which I support. And we have given, $3,000 and more to one-off events for one day or one evening, which I support. This is only just under $6,000 for a whole kicking off of something that is going to go for a whole season for, so that's my reasoning. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Sorry, can I just make one more comment here?
Yes.
While I don't deny the value of this activity, and I don't even decry the idea of $5,900 being given to them, I do worry that this is a departure from policy, and I don't know that apart from this just makes us feel good, I don't know that we have a good reason for departing from the 50% policy, so I'm going to vote against this.
Thank you. So we'll put that amended recommendation to the vote, and it is to approve the sum of $5,983 plus just to be paid from the board's grant fund account to...
Point of order. No, this motion is the amendment to change $3,000 to $5,900. You confirmed that a few moments ago.
Sorry, Member Edmonds, I couldn't hear that.
Oh, sorry. This is the amendment motion to change the $3,000 to the $5,000. Yeah, but that's not how you just read it out.
Change from $3,000 to $5,983, plus just, if applicable, to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Tupu Haere Ki Te Rangi Total Titans Club for the cost towards running an after-school program for rangatahi. All those in favour? Aye. Any against?
Yes, I'm against.
Yeah, put me against as well. Like, we can't break policies.
Against.
Really.
So that amendment has been passed. Move on to the next recommendation.
No, sorry. Point of order. Okay, that was the amendment, Chicky. Okay, now we've got to go back to the substantive motion.
Through the chair, the substantive motion is on the page. So
No. Okay. No, you just go. I think it's lost in translation. I'll withdraw my point of order.
Thank you.
So, through the chair, because we've made an amendment to the original motion, we now have to restate the entire motion, which is on the screen now.
Okay, thank you. The entire motion. A, uplift the Tupu Haere ki te rangi Totoro Titans Club application that was left to lie at the 16th April meeting. B, approve the sum of $5,983 plus just, if applicable, be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Tupu Haere ki te rangi Totoro Titans Club for the costs towards running an after-school program for rangatahi.
So we need to move it up. We now need to move and second that.
Okay.
I'll move.
Member McVeigh moves that and Member Felia seconds that. All those in favour? Aye. Any against?
Yeah, I'm against.
Yes, thank you. Member Edmonds. Councillor Vucic?
No, it's all right. I go with the majority there. I made my point.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next recommendation, page 20, that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of $1,844 plus just if applicable be paid from the board's community grant fund to Nokura Pikari for the cost of the board's taonga. That's supposed to be taonga puoro?
I took that from his application, so yes.
Puoro and Waiata Wānanga for Matariki. Do I have a mover? Member McVeigh and a seconder, Member Felia. Do we have any discussion around that?
I just support, I know the work of Matua Nopira well. He is a master carver doing great work, mostly unpaid, and we have funded other beautiful Matariki events, and I would like to include this aspect as well. I know Matua knows what he's doing, and it'll be a great Matariki program.
Any further discussion? I will put that to the vote. All those in favour?
Right.
Any against? Any abstentions? No, thank you. Moving on to our reports. The first one on page 46.8.1, Hokianga Ferry Liaison Group meeting held on the 28th of February 2025.
Through the chair, Aaron Riley has given apologies. He had a clashing meeting and couldn't attend.
Aaron was the author of the report. So the recommendation is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board receive the report, Hokianga Ferry Liaison Group meeting 28th February 2025. I'll move that, and Member McVeigh has seconded that. Any questions around this report?
Just not so much a report, but is that a public meeting, Chicky? Because I'd be interested. I'm actually involved in looking at the alternative options, what to do going forward, and I just wouldn't mind speaking to not formally, but speaking to the chair's John Wigglesworth, but attending one of the meetings.
Yes, I've attended one of the meetings, Councillor Vucic. I'm unsure whether it's public meeting. Member McVeigh, you've attended?
I'm a member of the group, and I'm actually not sure. To my memory, we don't have public members, but that is a question for Mr. Riley, Mr. Aaron Riley, and a good one.
Yeah, I'll ring up John Wigglesworth. I know him quite well. He's the chair, and just get feedback because I want to really know if they're considering inputs to options as well.
I think they're actually calling for inputs to options. There's just I encourage you to do that, Councillor Vucic.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a question for you, Councillor Vucic. Or Member McVeigh, do none of these committee members attend those meetings that you're at, Councillor Vucic? The alternative.
It's really that certainly they should be involved. The meeting is a separate one, and it's working with staff, and it's going to be a council decision that's that looks at that. I just want to make sure that
we'll leave it with you to contact John Wigglesworth.
Yeah, excellent, thanks.
That recommendation to the vote. All those in favour?
All right.
Any against or abstentions? None. Thank you. Okay, 8.2, open resolutions report on page 51. The recommendation is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board receive the open resolution report for May 2025. Member McDade is moving that, and Member Gundry has seconded it. Do we have any questions or comment regarding the open resolution report?
Chair, if I could raise with you all that we've, in the past, we've captured the open resolutions, the items that are open for staff to continue to follow up with. What's not captured in this item are any action points that fall in information reports. So you get a decision or a standard report that has action points that come into your open resolutions, but often the information report notes don't get captured. So now we're implementing the open resolutions and the actions to follow up. That's why you have the report in front of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very helpful.
Thanks. All right. There being no comment or questions, I'll move that recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Any against or abstentions?
Who was your second, Madam Chair?
Me. Okay. Moving on to our supplementary.
Do you want to join us at the table, ladies?
Agenda, and we've got Tammy here joining us and Emma Manning. Thank you both. So Emma is our senior strategic planner and Tammy is something fancy too. What's your fancy title?
Manager of integrated planning.
Manager of integrated planning. Welcome to you both. Here to talk to the report titled Kaikohe Placemaking Project. So the recommendation is that the Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board, A, allocate $57,000 funding from the Kaikohe Hokianga Town Beautification Fund to be paid to Whānau Holdings Limited towards implementation of upgrades to the general Broadway area. B, confirm the resolution of 19th July 2024, resolution 2024/74 to allocate $50,000 funding from their Pride in Place budget to be paid to Whānau Holdings Limited towards implementation of upgrades to the general Broadway area. And C, allocate an additional $10,000 funding from their Pride in Place budget to be paid to Whānau Holdings towards professional services, fees for project management of implementation of upgrades to the general Broadway area. I will move that recommendation. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Vucic. Do we have any discussion around that or questions for our report writers? Member McVeigh.
To discuss. Well, I think it's great. I recall asking about our beautification fund and other funds that and how we might utilise them, and we were, to my knowledge, never given an opportunity to think about how those other funds might be used before, apart from our placemaking fund, of course. So it was a bit of a surprise to me that we were able to use them.
Yes, to Emma speaks that she's worked with Melissa Wood on seeing how we could put this forward to you.
Through the chair. So the town beautification funding is funding that sits in the long-term plan and it usually goes through the infrastructure department. So what would ordinarily happen is that the infrastructure team would work with potentially the community board through the community board coordinator to discuss priorities in the strategic plan. So my understanding was that that didn't happen this year. There was no conversation that happened at that level for various reasons. And so it was identified by the community board coordinator that that funding hadn't been spent. So we we sought to include it as a part of our placemaking project. So there will be caveats around how we can use that funding as a result of us taking what is essentially part of the capital works budget. So we will need to be mindful about how we spend that as a part of the placemaking project because of the original purpose of that funding.
So going forward into the next financial year, somebody will be having a conversation with the board about the priorities for that fund.
On the basis of this, what's in the strategic plan, yes.
But I think, sorry, through the chair, that we should highlight that one of the challenges one of the issues that was identified through the work that Emma has done on this is there might be a bit of a gap in the infrastructure area as she's highlighted to manage this. So one of the benefits is because there's actually there's a placemaking project that can look at using these funds. There's a mechanism to activate it. So that's probably just one of the challenges that still exists there at the moment, is that there might be a bit of a deficit on the infrastructure group side and supporting projects with that funding at the moment.
Any further questions, or where would that deficit come from?
When we say that, it's a case of probably Emma might be in a better place to explain why those funds were available and the challenge that you've had in terms of trying to put it to good use for what it was intended for.
Yeah, through the chair. So my understanding is that ordinarily there would be staff in the infrastructure group who would be, or potentially in the district facilities, the property management group, depending who is responsible for that budget. There would be staff who would be able to identify projects that would align with what's in your strategic plan, and then be able to use our long-term plan funding to implement those projects, which is quite separate to what we do, which is to ask the community what they want and then do that. So that process didn't happen. So ordinarily that would go through, the coordinator would be having those conversations with the infrastructure department, and because there was not, my understanding is because there was not the staff allocated for looking after that budget, that process didn't happen across any of the boards. So the full allocation of the $171,000 was not spent.
Councillor Vucic?
Yeah, my question was, there was a workshop on this, and as I understand, if we don't move the fund, the town beautification, that will be lost, or one of them will be lost, because it's not carried forward as a report said to the following year, and also we have a particular project in mind, so we just can't sit it and hold it and say we've got some sort of project. So we have a project in mind that we can allocate it to, and by giving it to Far North Holdings, it goes away from council and is put in a place that can be delivered. So presumably, in terms of the delivery though, when you say our infrastructure team, this is the question I've got, I take it that if Far North Holdings were to assist with the delivery, that's okay. There's not a problem there, is there?
Chair? Yes, there is a different process in terms of releasing the funding to Far North Holdings. So the grant process has certain information that the funding advisor needs to be able to release the grant funding. There are different thresholds for the procurement of that funding. So, for example, when we looked at the breakdown of the direct award to Far North Holdings for this funding, we only considered the $57,000. So it can go as a direct award. The caveat around that is because that funding was originally in the budget for capital works, we need to make sure that whatever we spend it on aligns with the purpose of that original allocation.
Yep. And so as I understand, Chiki, I think you were at the placemaking workshop as well, that it was they agreed with this resolution, and that was their recommendation. And secondly, they wanted stuff done. So in other words, you're talking about doing some capital works, and that's why I'm supporting it. So I think it all fits together. Yep. So I support it. Thank you.
Councillor Vucic?
Can I just plant this little seed as, right from the beginning and find entry and as an elected into community. We stood as Hokianga to total and support our township award of Kaikohe Hokianga, because this is our service centre in our area. You know, both Pāmani, Jesse and myself representing South and North Hokianga. So just planting this little bit of a seed. If others get sorted now, we get the chunk of the pie next time round, hopefully with the elected board in the future. Yeah, so just this total for what's been done here.
Thank you, Member Clear. Just to respond to that, yes, we are Kaikohe Hokianga Community Board members, so we need to look out for both. And part of the consideration of the placemaking group was that we have a number of Hokianga community members that Kaikohe services, and we have, you know, our Whia Kaumātua, people that need medical centre support, agency support. We've got local supermarkets here, so we've taken into consideration people from Hokianga coming to Kaikohe and making sure that it's a place that they're going to sit and have a place to sit first and foremost. Yes. So seating is really important, but also a nice place to visit. We also discussed the fact that we have a number of tourists that come through our town out to the Hokianga, to the beautiful places like Mānia, they tend not to stop here. So if our town was a little more vibrant, then while it's in Kaikohe, we're also mindful that it will support Hokianga long term. So thank you everybody for your comments, and thank you for the work that both of you have been doing in terms of placemaking. Okay. So I will put that those recommendations to the vote.
Are we doing all three? Sorry, Chicky, because there's three parts to that, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Can I ask one question about C, please?
Yes.
So that is around allocating an additional $10,000 from the private place and jumping back to the total amount that we had. This might be a Catherine Truan question. We had 21, but I believe that we've just given out close to 8 today, something like that.
Give me 2 minutes, I'm just doing the calculations now.
Leaves about 13 in the pot until for one more funding round. So is the proposal taking 10,000 out of that total 13? Is that correct? Leaving $3,000 roughly.
Yes, it is.
Funding next month's funding application, just so that we're all clear on our decision.
Catherine?
Yes, it is.
That all tallies up. Yes. Anything else? No. Okay. So we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any against? Any abstentions? No. Thank you, everybody, for your commentary around that. Thank you both for attending our meeting and the work that you've done, Tammy and Emma. Okay, moving on to we're up to Karakia Whakamutunga. Kaya koe Member Gundry. Okay. No,
Nāna hira whanau me te māngai tautuko mai, aine akinei ai. Mai tātou.
Thank you everybody for your attendance.
Could we end the live stream, please?